So let's talk about the personal energy quadrant. This is something I created a couple of years ago. When I sold my last company, I decided that if I was going to be moving into business again, and it looked like I was because I kept getting phone calls and people wanted my support and asked me to mentor them. And I thought, okay, I can see where this is going. It was very exciting for me. I was really enjoying it, but I had to make a very deliberate, conscious choice around what was important to me going into this next business. At the time, I didn't have the language to know that I was essentially creating the DNA of my company, the new story, the new memory that would inform everything from this new foundation. And for me, it was very, very clear as I think at the time, a 53-year-old woman, making a decision that my health was going to be at the center of any decisions in my future. Now, for you, it may be your health. For you, it may be your relationships. For you, it may be your prosperity. There'll be something that's at the absolute center and core of this business you're creating. But to do that, you must look at yourself first. So this personal energy quadrant is about you. It might overlap in business in some ways, but it's actually essentially about you and the energy that you will create for you. The idea is that you want vitality, you want good health, you want to feel energetic enough to embark upon this enterprise or continue or expand it, whichever stage you're at. But it's the energy of you to deliver this is vital. So we're just going to completely look at you, and that's why it was called a personal energy quadrant. And I've changed it recently. Today, I'm introducing it to you as the personal energy imprint. And that's because the word imprint energetically feels so much more intense and powerful. If I'm literally imprinting in my body the story of health and vitality that I choose. So thoughts are a way we express ourselves in the world, but it's the energy behind these thoughts that really matter. So let me show you the very simple system I came up with, and I would invite you to design yours this week. Okay, here we go. Just a very minor little bit of context, just to remind us ourselves. Okay, that's not what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for here. Aha, and here we are. So here, just a little brief background again to give you some context. We went through the full presentation the other day. We're not doing that today. We're basically being reminded that to have regenerative aims, it's health and well-being is the most one of the crucial of 12 stages of a regenerative process that I've identified. So while these were the 12 stages I introduced the other day, today we're going to focus on one of those frameworks. And it's interesting for me that it always ended up being quadrants. Now, I didn't set out to create 4 things, but when I looked at the nature seasons, I saw that the guide was there the whole time. So the quadrant is partly looking at how you will thrive and grow and transform, but also be quiet, because being quiet can be some of our most productive times we ever have. Now, there's 4 frameworks, as you know, and today we're going to just talk about the number 1 here, which is the personal energy imprint. Okay. So I'm going to invite you to draw 4 segments on a page. If you prefer 4 circles, you're very welcome to do that. I just work well myself with quadrants, and I type using a table, usually just in a simple text or Word document. So the top left, your vision, this is your personal power statement. Okay, this is about what you want in this world, what you're feeling, maybe what you already have, what you love, what inspires you. It's really that thing that makes you tick. And I'm going to be sharing my personal one to help give this some context. In the second column is the word health. This is literally like I have links to workouts that I do, links to meditations that I love. I have my schedule for a club that I belong to, my swimming laps, like everything is written down. And the reason we write it down is because it just kind of remains a bit of an elusive dream often if we don't document it. And also sometimes we have so many ideas, you know, you can't have 5 classes a day. That's ridiculous. So sometimes by writing it down, we're realizing, oh, I'm kind of overcommitting here. I've just got to cull back a little bit. So it's really important to make it achievable and realistic and enjoyable. So this aspect of health is particularly around diet and exercise. When you move to the third quadrant, you'll see that's where spirit belongs, and that's where it's more the intangible. So this is the yoga, the meditation, any mindful practice. And if you have a religious practice, this is where this would go. Sometimes it can be your most favorite and inspiring quotes can go here, just something that really is going to ignite you. Because what I haven't yet told you is your personal energy imprint is something you look at every single day. Okay, we'll get to that. And the fourth, but not the least, is joy. And you may find you might want to start with joy. So this is your dinner parties and your long walks and the kind of dream holidays and just the stuff that's really going to ignite you and drive you to sort of work towards making sure that definitely happens, because it's what it's all about for you. Spending time with people you love, really the kind of stuff that you want to be doing on a weekly basis and what life is all about. So now that I've showed you that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my own personal energy quadrant with you in its current form. Let's see how this looks. Okay. So you'll see I'm used to calling it a quadrant. So here we go. This is my personal energy imprint that I work with at the moment. So let's just get some of this distraction out of the way. And so I can show this to you really well. Here we go. Okay. So living in my heart, again, the heart method, that's another story, and I'll do a separate video on that. But when that's something that came to me, it was a very special result of a journey I was on. But it's really, for me, it's always about the somatic connection. So it's how do I connect my heart, mind, and body on a daily basis? And how can I do that when I sometimes only have a few minutes in the morning, especially if I've got up late, or I just sort of took the time to lie in instead of maybe going to an exercise class, or, perhaps I prioritize sleep that day. Having a few minutes to just check with my PEQ, or my personal energy imprint, as it's now called, is really important. So I usually recommend something at the top here. So as you can see, I've got here that I choose to live in my intuition. I know that that's my path to my highest potential. I do a little exercise. I've got a sort of spiky mat in the morning, and I do something where I'm grounded to the earth and I connect to the light. So I'm connected both to the earth and the heavenly bodies. And that's just a little exercise that I do. But just by writing it, something like that is enough for me to know what it is. And, just a power statement. So for me, that's about consciously choosing these new empowering thoughts, because I know they're creating new pathways. I've got to be creating new pathways to be in a new paradigm. So I'm always looking to align with my internal soul operating system, but I also want to check how that's manifesting in the world all the time. So just by reading this every morning, if that's all I have time to do, it's super powerful. So I have a little statement here, and I encourage you to do something similar. And very simply, I help people change, which changes the world for our better. This is, again, leads to a whole nother exercise that I do. And when I have time, I go and do that exercise. I've got a whole load of choices I've made. I set my alarm. What that means is I encourage you to do this. I actually set alarms on my phone throughout the day, and that reminds me to connect to these thoughts. And it's just a really beautiful practice I have. And I just reiterate the best intention for both my day and my life. And actually, that's when I do that for my clients as well. So I'm really tuning into your energy and ensuring that I'm serving you in the best way possible. Now, this one here, I'll let you read that yourself in your own time. But basically, I had a very short story. I had a moment getting into an Uber. It was during the final sale process. I was off to meet the buyer. And I had a short, I could have walked, but it was just like this exhausting moment. And I thought, I'm just going to get an Uber for this last part of the journey. So I jumped in an Uber, and in the couple of minutes I was in that Uber, I had the most extraordinary conversation with the driver. We went from hello to super deep, as if we just spent 7 days on retreat together. It was an extraordinary conversation that was incredibly moving for us both. I'll tell you that story in full another time. But the point is, I got out of the car and I was so moved. I just stood there and I just said to myself so powerfully, I said, that is it. I want that kind of inspiration, that feeling every single day. I know that I said something to inspire that man. And to this day, he doesn't realize he said something that inspires me, where I'm telling the story. I don't know who he is. I don't know how to track him down. It doesn't matter. But we had this moment as two humans, and this feeling of exhilaration and inspiration, that knowing how I'd helped him and how he'd helped me was so extraordinary. I knew that I just wanted my life to be like that. So yeah, of course that's wrapped up with my whole other connections around with business and home, in terms of my wanting the planet, this beautiful earth around me, to be the most spectacular, thriving place for my grandchildren long after I'm gone. So you can read it in full yourself. Okay, so over on my health, you'll see there's all my links there. So this is really important for me because I found I was wasting time looking for things. And in lockdown in particular, when we weren't going to classes, I could just click on any of these links and I'd be in a workout. And it was just great. So I still use them. They're fantastic. You can see there's a mixture of Kundalini yoga, some dancing, some shaking, and quite a few fitness routines there. So I've even put my end of day sleep meditation, which if I ever go through periods where sleep's difficult, which it's certainly not at the moment, and most of the time, I'm pleased to say, but certainly if you're anywhere near menopause, that's going to become a big issue. And I just remind myself, so if you've got any little quotes you want to add in there, this is a really good time to do it. So sometimes if I get off track, or I'm going down a rabbit hole, or getting caught up in someone's drama, I remind myself that where my focus is. Okay, so that really helps me. My meditation, again, I've got some links there. I actually need to update them. I think I haven't used those ones for a while. And my joy, I'm so driven by my joy, I got to tell you. So I've already got all my trips booked in Scotland and Cornwall. I've got a coastal one I've almost confirmed, and Dartmoor will happen this year at some point. But there I am. You can see for me, it's walking in spectacular places. So be really visceral and generous with your language, not just like walking in the woods, like walking in amazing woods that have incredible light, and really go for it, really have some fun with this. I've already ticked off the performing for the year. I was in the pantomime, so it's like tick. And I'm working on some writing work at the moment. It's a really powerful time for me at the moment, writing. Deeply connecting with all the people that matter to me. I always suggest something really significant there. I just thrive when I'm learning and growing and teaching. It's just, it happens naturally, and it weaves throughout my life. So I've just documented that down. Being in community is a really important thing for me. So we've got a local climate collective here, and we've got all sorts of actions happening. So that engages me in politics and dramas that I'd rather not, but it's part of the course of a small village. Love festivals, always have, and basically I've just kind of described the kind of vibrancy I'm looking for here. So this may seem very simple, but it's incredibly powerful. And as I say, if you write too much on here, it's just not going to happen, and you're just going to let yourself down. So just be really realistic about what brings you the greatest joy, how you're going to give attention to your spirit. Now, for you, if you just think, I can't do meditation and I can't do yoga, any sort of standard mindful techniques, just do whatever works for you. Okay, but make sure you really are connecting with your spirit, because that intangible force within us, you'll see that'll be a real theme throughout our work, is vital to really getting where you want to go. Even if you've got resistance there at the moment, I promise you that's where the real game changer happens. So yeah, this is you and your personal vision. So as you can see, for me, it was about inspiration. So just really let loose here. Like, don't feel like this is not some business statement about marketing statement at all. This is literally where you can go wild, which is like, I just want 80% of my life to be spent in the water, that kind of thing. Like, just really imagine what would bring you utter incredible joy. So that is your personal energy imprint. That is the place I want you to start. And this is an incredibly important foundational aspect of a regenerative business journey, because I don't want you bringing in hard work and tiredness and drain and all these old paradigm ideas about how we create. Let's start with your vitality, because when you've got vitality, you can achieve anything. So can't wait to see your personal energy imprints. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out during the week. And otherwise, I will see you in our next session, where I will invite you all to share yours.